Hello there. Today I saw the new Gran Turismo movie, and now I want to tell you about it. The story is based on the real life of Jann Mardenborough, a race car driver who got his start playing the video game Gran Turismo. It was adapted into a screenplay by Alex Say, Jason Hall, and Zach Balin. The film was directed by Neil Blomkamp. It follows Jann Mardenborough, played by Archie Madekwe, a young man who doesn't know what to do with his life. He spends his free time playing Gran Turismo and has become one of the best. He dreams of racing real cars, but his father, played by Demon Hansu, tries to ground him in reality. When opportunity comes knocking, Jann finds himself thrust into the world of professional racers and struggling to find his feet. With the help of Danny Moore, played by Orlando Bloom, and Jack Salter, played by David Harbour, Jann takes the world of racing by storm. The story is full of ups and downs and tries to cram all the little details of Jann's life into the film. Half of the film is about exciting races and the pomp and circumstance surrounding professional racing, and the other half goes through all of the dramatic details of his personal life. His relationship with his girlfriend, his parents, and his lead engineer Jack Salter. The races are full of energy and you get to feel the excitement of the crowd and the power of the cars. When I was in the theater, I could feel the rumble of the cars in my chest and hear the crowd chants echoing around me through the speakers. It made the experience way more thrilling. Not quite like being there, but enough to give you some understanding of why people would go. Alongside the powerful audio from the cars, the races are usually scored with intense instrumental tracks that follow the story from beat to beat and amplify all of the emotions within it. There are also a number of original pop songs, mostly rock and roll, but also a few Kenny G and Enya songs that appear within the film at different times. They're catchy and good for a laugh once or twice, but they're not that significant. The visuals are spectacular as well. The visual journey is easy to understand and follow, and is filled with exciting scenes of races, crashes, and big emotional moments. We see the races from Jann's perspective, overhead views with video game infographics, and from the spectators' viewpoints. They capture some beautiful scenery in the process and do a great job of capturing the speed and skill of the drivers. My favorite scenes were these shots of Jann driving where the car would break down into pieces around him. You see all the internal parts as he is driving, and then they either fade away or follow him depending on whether he's driving a real car or not. It was a cool visual and I found how they used it interesting. They even had the real Jann Mardenborough in there as a stunt double for himself during the races. So you got to see a lot of professional driving on display. At the same time, they chronicle the race as well, so you always know what is happening. All that said, the emotional journey is a bit rushed because they tried to cram too much into the film, and at times it kind of loses the plot. Each emotional scene is cut in half. You get whiplash from how quickly they blurt out significant dialogue and then cut to another scene. They never give you any time to digest the information tossed out there. They just rush on to the next big thing. This really cuts into the actors' performances and makes it difficult for them to stand out. You had great actors like Orlando Bloom and Demon Hansu sitting in the background of the film who ended up being underutilized. Hansu felt especially wasteful because the father-son tension was actually quite interesting and made for a dramatic tale. A father who doesn't understand his son's passions but comes around eventually to support him. Hansu still knocks his scenes out of the park, as does Bloom, but they didn't get to do their stories the justice they deserved. Harbour does a fantastic job as Jack Salter. He plays a mentor figure to Jann and one of the few people who cares more about Jann than the car or his performance. He does a great job of being the haunted veteran, and he's hilarious when he starts trying to scare off the gamer drivers. Madekwe as Jann ends up having the most significant performance, but his time is cut short too. He plays the strained relationship with his father and brother well, plays out the emotional hardships of being a newcomer in a dangerous field, and does wonderfully trying to express the insane emotions Jann felt after his accident. It was a shame they didn't give his performance more room to breathe. As for losing the plot, there are moments when the film feels complete, but there's still lots of runtime left. This is because the film consists of 4 major storylines woven together to tell a bigger picture. In the transition between storylines, there's usually a lull where you're not sure what's next, and it gives off this disjointed feeling. The central narrative isn't strong enough to carry you from one section to the next, and so it ends up playing out like a collection of stories. The other complaint I had about the film was the audio. The loud cars and music were great for setting up the atmosphere and carrying the emotional aspects of the story, but they also interfered with the dialogue quite a few times in the film. I could still make out all of what was said, but I struggled to do so a number of times. I should have subtitled those sections to make it easier to understand. Overall, I enjoyed Gran Turismo, and I think it's an excellent film for the theater experience. Going in, you get to feel a bit of the rush of a real race. Car engines literally rumble through your body, and you get to revel in the excitement of this guy's fascinating story. It could have been paced better, and that would have made the story more impactful, but this film goes out of its way to try so many cool new things during the races that it's easy to see why they rushed through the dramatic portions. The music is great, visuals are captivating, and the cast does a great job with the time given. You'll definitely remember it more for the experience than the storytelling, but it's worth seeing. As for a rating, I'd give this film an 8 out of 10. Remember, these are just my thoughts on the film. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Bye-bye.